Hello, Space Family. Welcome to the March 21st, 2023 Space Download. We are lucky ducks, let me tell you, this month. We are welcoming into our wonderful Space Illuminate Conversations series, Joy Pucci, who is a certified intuitive eating counselor and body image mentor. And I have worked with her one-on-one. So family, I can tell you, this lady is going to rock our world today. So Alex, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh my goodness. I just have to say, the first day of spring was yesterday, March 20th. Of course, we're recording this a little bit in advance, but what I know is your energy is going to take us bouncing straight into spring with your message, with everything you have to share with our community. So thank you so much for being with us. Let's dive right in. When people hear that you are a certified intuitive eating counselor and a body image mentor, I mean, that sounds like the golden ticket. It's so much to unpack there. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about how you came to be an intuitive eating counselor and what a body image mentor is and what you do with the body of your work?
Sure. So, a little of my background. I actually grew up as an actor, so I was very aware of my physical body in space, very aware of how I was being perceived. And as we all do, we live in a little something called diet culture, which is a world in which we are constantly being told that there is a certain body that is healthy, that is normal, that is celebrated, and that we should all fit into that mold and into that box. And so I, just like everyone else that I know that has grown up in the society, has believed those things. And I always just really was striving to stay in a small body, to be loved, to be booked for work as an actor, to be all of these things. I also became a health coach. I went to the Institute of Integrative Nutrition and got my health coaching certification. So as I grew up and was in New York City, becoming an actor and doing all these things and learning health coaching, the understanding of nutrition actually became almost a little bit of an obsession for me. And so I became a little obsessive with what nutrients I was putting in my body. And again, these are things that are still celebrated, right? So all of these things. And then I fell down the rabbit hole. I actually met Nick at SoulCycle back when that's what he was doing. And so I became obsessed with cycling. And then I was like, oh, I can eat what I want if I cycle 3 times a day. And then, so basically, this is a rabbit hole that a lot of folks fall into, or some version of it for themselves. But essentially what intuitive eating does, and what I learned and what brought me up and out of this kind of compulsive exercise and disordered eating, what I now know of as disordered eating and all of these things, is this work called intuitive eating. And essentially it's the premise, it was created by dietitians, and it's the premise that allows us to make peace with our bodies and food through tools and practices that allow us to connect to our bodies and disconnect from the world that tells us that there's something wrong with our bodies, or that we need fixing, that we need to be in a small body to be healthy, and things like that. And it's just such a beautiful practice. And
I know that it is because I participated in one of your groups, which we can talk about in a moment, but you said something that just really impacted me, which is this idea around nutrition. And most of us, at least in America or in the Western world, I think we grow up with this idea that there are some foods that are good and some foods that are bad. And I feel like a major tenet of your work is really, there's a very self-permissiveness to your work where, we remove these labels that this is good and that is bad.
Absolutely. And as people in the space world, space community, I know that we're all folks that really care about our health and well-being, right? And the thing is that this work at first can feel like it's pulling you out of it when it's actually pulling you back in. It's calling you back into your health and well-being without the labels or the judgments. So it's this really compassionate place. So I'll give a perfect example, and you're absolutely right. It's this neutralization of food, good, bad, right, wrong, right? I ate pizza tonight. Okay, I'm bad, or there's some sort of morality attached. If we could all even just understand that, how strange it is to have morality around food. Right?
I feel like there's such a business built off of it too, right? Like there's, especially in diet culture, they want us to feel as if, like you said, there's some shame attached to if you eat ice cream or if you eat, quote, pizza or pasta, or food has become vilified, when in truth, it's just a small aspect of our health, our nutrition. And food is such a place to celebrate, to be together, to be connected. And
absolutely.
Yeah, so I just feel like I have a million other questions, but this idea of removing morality from food, and the fact that our weight and the size of our body is only one aspect of our health. Would you say a little more about that?
Absolutely. So one of the things is that our bodies, outwardly, our aesthetic, can really tell us nothing about our health. So I'll give you a really good example, which is folks with chronic illness who, there are many folks with chronic illness who lose a ton of weight. And I have tons of clients who have come to me and said, yes, the most body compliments I ever received was when I was going through cancer, or when I was I had an eating disorder, or when I was really sick, or when I was grieving my mother, the loss of my mother, right? These horrible things where people are unable to eat. And we don't question those bodies. We celebrate those bodies. Whereas a lot of the folks in my world, they gain weight, and they gain a lot more weight and some of them don't, some of them lose weight, gain weight, stay the same weight. The work that I do is what we call weight neutral and weight inclusive. So whether you lose, gain, or
those phrases.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. It's just, that's a terrible habit of mine I'm working on. But along with removing morality from the food I choose. But that is, wow. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, the point is that if you're actually finding authentic health, which is pairing your internal knowing of what foods you are craving, giving yourself permission to eat, and also listening to your body, right? Your cues, your hunger, your fullness cues, being able to tap into that while also understanding nutrition, because again, it was created by dietitians. So that is part of the understanding, right? It's authentic health is marrying those two things. My inner knowing, my inner world, my satisfaction in eating a freaking, delicious cookie or a huge pasta bowl that's just cheesy and right, all the things, without it being an indulgence, just being food, and then giving ourselves the same permission to eat a salad or anything else, right? It's this full permissiveness, while still tapping into our cues and still understanding nutrition. It's the whole thing. But in this weight neutrality, we don't question the bodies that are small. We question the bodies that are outside of what we feel is socially acceptable. And that is just a bias, just like anything else, right?
Right.
It's a learned bias. And so what we learn in this work as well is that I can't tell someone's health by the size of their body. I truly do not know. Unless I'm their doctor, I have no understanding of their health. And for many folks in my world, some people have to gain weight in order to actually develop authentic health, because they've been restricting for so long or dieting for so long. Right. And something else too is that this is a business, and it's the diet industry alone, this is not including the beauty industry, in the United States alone is approximately a $73 billion a year industry. Globally, I think it's 128 billion, something along those.
Unbelievable.
And they also, work off of repeat clients, of people that are constantly going to want to go on the next diet, because now the stats used to say 90. Now they're looking at 95% of diets don't work. And diets include any kind of restriction, including what's now being deemed as the wellness diet, which is, if you're taking out foods that are bad, right? Quote unquote. You can't see me, but I'm putting in big air quotes here. Any food that says you can't have this, you can't have that, that's eliminating big things from your diet. Of course, barring real big medical issues like celiacs, barring, if someone's vegan for the planet or for the animals, right? That's something that's different. But the diet industry is really tricky, and they love to convince you that you're going to be a better person, you're going to be more loved, you're going to be more celebrated, you're going to be healthier, you're going to be happier, and all of life's problems will go away if you're in a smaller body.
Which is so not true. And how many people, and myself included, I remember many, many years ago there was a time in my life when I was married, and I remember the whole 6 months before the wedding being like, okay, how can I shave off just 10 pounds?
Yeah.
And how many brides to be do we know that have been like, oh my goodness, I went for my final alteration and I can't fit into my dress? Or how many of our mothers have been like, I'm on a diet for your wedding so that I will look, it's amazing. Or there's a high school reunion, and so how do I shave off 10 pounds? Right?
Absolutely.
Or 20 pounds, or whatever the case may be,
And part of the other piece of my work, the body image work, is that
the mentoring, let's get to that.
So many folks believe that, again, and no fault of their own, this is the culture we live in, that you cannot love your body if it's a certain shape or size. And that is one of the biggest fallacies that we've been told. And it is liberating. It is truly like taking shackles off your feet when you realize that your body is meant to be lived through, not looked at.
That is one of your favorite sayings. The first time I saw that on your Instagram, and before we wrap up, we'll make sure we tell everyone in the community how to stay in touch with you and learn more about your work. But when I saw on Instagram that statement, I literally was blown away, because I so do enjoy being in my body, and knowing that that's the body is to be lived through, not to be looked at, not to be objectified. And as women in this culture, holy smokes,
Absolutely.
what revelatory thought, right?
And absolutely. And it's so liberating. And this work, but I tell people when they start working with me and they think it's impossible, I'm telling you right now, we are so disconnected from our bodies because we're being told that A, they have to look different, and B, that somebody else is going to know better than we do what we should eat or how we should move. And so truly, if I could sum this up in any way, it's that this work connects you back to your innate wisdom, your cues, your body's deep intuitive understanding of what it needs. And it is often not going to look anything like you've been told it should, quote unquote. And you get to spend less time worrying about fitting into a mold physically, eating the right foods, exercising in the correct way. Yes. And you start to learn what those things mean to you, for you. And you realize that you get to spend more energy, precious life-giving energy, focused on living your life, enjoying the moments that matter most, being with your kids, watching sunsets, traveling without this anxiety or pressure. And you start to really begin to live through your body, this vessel that is so, so, so precious. So that really at its core is what this work is. And there are practices and tools to get us there. That's the how, but the what is the liberation, truly.
Yes. And I can say firsthand from working with you that it is such a profound, for me, it was such a profound shift, because like you, and I still am an actor, and was a cheerleader from a very young age, right? And then in my puberty and teen years, was quite chubby. And even though I had great enthusiasm and joy in my physical movement, was made to feel like, well, yeah, but you don't quite look right. So even though you enjoy it and you're good at it, that doesn't cut it. Because in our culture, right, we abdicate our responsibility and look outside of ourselves for these signals of what should I look like? What should I eat? Like it, I feel like your program and your work is so about learning how to trust and listen to ourselves. Like you say, the deep innate wisdom that is in our body. Yeah.
And it really, really is. And if we knew that, there should be a diversity of bodies, just like there should be a diversity of ethnicities and cultures and skin colors. And, one of the best examples of this is like, I have an enormous foot. I have a size 10 foot.
You do?
Yes, I have a size 10 foot. She's got a big foot. And I know, right? I'm not even that tall. But I never think, I should be a size 7. I would never think that what I was genetically given in that respect should be differently, because there isn't really an industry that's telling me that it should. But if there were, you bet I would be trying to curl my toes and squeeze into a size 7, just like folks do with their bodies. Some folks are meant to be in bigger bodies and some folks are meant to be in smaller bodies, and nothing is wrong with either one of those things, right?
Like we don't take pills to make us taller or shorter, do we?
Absolutely not. And something that I was just speaking about with my clients recently was there's such a multidimensional way of looking at health. And we really just look at this teeny, tiny sliver of a huge picture. And one of the things that studies have shown is that one of the most important things for your health is your connection. And that some communities that have lived the longest, they looked at their nutrition because they were so sure that there was something that they were eating that was the right quote unquote thing.
Right. Fish or olive oil or kale or whatever.
And one of these, it was so funny. There were these researchers back in I think it was the 40s or 50s, that looked at this community that was an immigrant community in Pennsylvania. And they looked at this community and they said, it must be in the food. They looked at the food. They were eating lard. They were eating everything that
the best cheese in town.
Yeah. I mean, all of the foods that that were in opposition to this idea of health. And they went, how's that possible? And they looked at everything. They were not going in expecting to find what they found, but they found that what they mastered was the art of community and connection. And that's what made them live the longest. So, as I've said to you before in my programs, if it's between having a salad and staying home and isolating and being lonely and disconnected, or instead being connected through ice cream or pizza and going out with friends and laughing and feeling joy, the fact that we consider the first to be the thing that is the most healthy versus, the latter, is what's a bit broken in our understanding of health and well-being. And so if we can start to flip the script, which is really what this is all about, changing the narrative, we can really find a lot of power and a lot of health.
And I feel that your work, Alex, is such an invitation for us to learn that. So for our community, if they would like to get in touch with you, learn more about your programs. I know I did your EFFA program. So if someone wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way for people to stay in touch with you and learn about all of the great things that Alex Joy Pucci is up to?
Well, I always tell people to DM me on Instagram. So it's just my name, Alex Joy Pucci. I also am the same on TikTok as well, but
Pucci is P-U-C-C-I, is that right?
P-U-C-C-I, yes. Alex Joy, P-U-C-C-I. And we can always chat in the DMs about ways to work together. I have a few one-on-one spots that are opening and available for people who are ready to just blast through all of their body image stuff and really just deepen their relationship with their bodies and their own authentic health through intuitive eating. But I also have my signature program, which you were in, which you have spoken about a few times this interview, but it's called Enjoy Food Freedom Accelerator. And it is about finding this food freedom and developing a loving, peaceful, connected, and healthy relationship with our bodies, food, and our movement practice. And it is my baby. It is so special. And you really learn everything you need to be able to develop these skills for yourself and have a really expansive, beautiful relationship with all of these things.
Well, it is everything that you say and more, because I have to also say the community that, there's like a buzzword going around, I feel like right now with online programs where people talk about the container that they've built, that, we're going to do this work inside of this container or what have you. But it's really true. You've created a space, no pun intended, where the support of the other people in the program is so profound, and the friendships that blossom through there, and just the empathy that's developed, because in my experience, it's women of all different stripes, all different sizes, and we all come to this place with our own story and baggage around diet culture, how we were raised, how some of us have disordered eating and disordered thinking around our bodies, around what we've been told around movement. And we are living in a real time of body inclusivity. It's better now than it's ever been. And we're moving forward and making so many wonderful advances. So I want to thank you so much for your time. And thank you for sharing with us just a tidbit of your knowledge and wisdom. Is there any closing thought you'd like to leave our wonderful space family with, Alex?
Yes. So I was going to say that the program at Enjoy Food Freedom Accelerator is actually starting up again. I host it every few months. It's starting again in April or early May. We're deciding start date. And right now, if you were to go to the link in my bio, you can sign up at $500 off, which is pretty major.
That's delicious. No pun intended.
For the early birds, and
That's
you would be
a tasty discount.
So again, my DMs are open, and I'd be happy to welcome you into any of the containers or any of the things that I'm offering. But most importantly, just so much love for this space community, for you, for Nick, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for having me on here. It was such a dream.
Well, when Nick and I were devising or envisioning this interview container, if you will, and he said, the conversations that we're having really, are illuminating the subjects that are discussed. And so he said, I really think they are Illuminate Conversations. It should be the name of the series. And when he said that, it was a lightning bolt. It was like, yes, absolutely. So just again, thank you, Alex Joy Pucci, certified intuitive eating counselor and body image mentor, for being with us. You've given us such a generous portion of your time. And I just feel like the food analogies are going to keep coming all day for me now today.
I hope so.
Oh, you are a tasty thing, lady. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you too.
All right. So thank you so much for being with us, Space Family. Really hope you've enjoyed this Illuminate conversation, and be sure to connect with Alex on Instagram. Until next time, we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.